Hi, this is Dave. This is my entry for the Around the World contest. This was put on by Stylist Meets Vinyl to celebrate hitting 1,000 subscribers. Congratulations for hitting that very difficult to attain milestone. The contest is name an album for each continent, plus one from Canada, and then also have a shout out to another channel. First, going to go with Europe. And this is Françoise Hardy. She's a French national treasure. This is a compilation of her 60s era yee songs. She's got that breathy, sexy voice that's just impossible to resist. All the yee singers kind of disappeared after that movement died out in the 60s. But she went on and had a great recording career, made solid albums all the way up to the mid-2010s. Sadly, we lost her last year. Rest in peace. Next, for Asia, I'm going to go with Japan and the band Happy End. Between 1966, when the Beatles landed at Haneda Airport, and Happy End formed in 1970, the Japanese rock music scene was dominated by what was called group sounds. These were all copycat bands with mop-top haircuts that covered American garage rock and British invasion bands. The vocals were all English. All the Japanese rock albums were in English during that time. When Happy End came along, they were the first, or one of the first, to take Western rock melodies and styles and incorporate Japanese lyrics into them. This is a terrific album. Very much. It's got the feel of a West Coast folk rock album with Japanese lyrics. You might have heard one of the songs on here called, the translation is Gather the Wind, and it was in the Lost in Translation soundtrack. Next, we'll go to Australia. No matter how long you've been collecting records, no matter how much you think you know about music, there's always those bands that for some reason passed you by, that you missed out on. And for me, that's The Church. I just started listening to them within the last year. It's like, I just can't believe how this band escaped me for so long. It's kind of a neo-psychedelic, jangly guitar rock band. It's led by the singer and the main songwriter, Steve Kilbey, and two outstanding guitar players, Marty Wilson Piper and Peter Coops. This is Heyday. This is my favorite so far, but I'm still like digging my way through their discography. They have put out 25 records, so it's definitely going to take a while. This is a original Australian pressing. Some of the songs on here that are standouts to me are Myrrh, the opening track, Already Yesterday, Happy Hunting Ground. I think every song is solid. This is a great record by The Church. Next, I'm going to Africa. And I thought that I didn't have any records from Africa in my collection, but Discogs said I had one. So this is Fela Kuti, Black President. To be honest, I had never listened to it, so I gave it a spin this morning. It's a fun, funky, soulful Afrobeat record from Nigeria. It's dominated by horns, drum, and bass. Really good record. Side 2 is just one long, funky jam. The song's called International Thief Thief. Very good record. I think I really need to start maybe diving into a little bit more of the African music scene. So next, we'll go to Antarctica. I don't have any Antarctic bands or Antarctic pressings in my collection, but knowing this community, I know that somebody's going to pull that off and find something. So when I think about Antarctica, I think about all the men and women doing research, all the scientists at the research labs there. When I think about science, obviously the first thing I think about is the Beastie Boys. And the song Sounds of Science from their classic masterpiece, Paul's Boutique. Everybody knows about this record. Not that much to say about it. It's just packed with hits. Johnny Royale, High Plains Drifter, The Sounds of Science, Hey Ladies, Shadrach, Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun. Classic record. You could make a record like that now with over 100 samples. There's no way you could afford it. Next, South America. I'm going to go to Brazil. Caetano Veloso's 1968 self-titled record. This mixes samba, psychedelia, and rock. And it's the album that launched the Tropicala movement. You see, the first song is called Tropicala. That movement was named from this song. And that was a movement by musicians, artists, painters, sculptors, to modernize Brazilians' culture. And it so angered the military government at the time that he, along with Gilberto Gil, were arrested and deported. They ended up living in London for a few years before they were able to come back into the country in 1972. The record's fantastic. It's incredibly important musically and politically. If you haven't had a chance, definitely check out Caetano Veloso's self-titled album from 1968. Next, North America. I want to talk about an artist that I think is a terrific artist that probably is not as well known as he should be. And that's Alejandro Escovedo. He's an influential American musician that's been making music for just about 50 years. He was part of the West Coast punk scene with his San Francisco punk band, The Nuns. He was very influential in the roots rock revival of the early 80s. He was a member of Rank and File, and he had his own band, True Believers. Then he began his solo career and was a huge influence on the alt-country Americana movement that started up in the mid-90s. His album Gravity is considered by a lot of people the definitive record for that alt-country Americana movement. It really wasn't until he was in his 60s that he started to get a wider audience with his record Street Songs of Love. Bruce Springsteen was on that. He's still going strong, making great albums in his 70s, still constantly touring. So you should probably check out his music and check him out live. This is my favorite record of his. It's A Man Under the Influence. This is from 2001. This has got some country, Hispanic music on it, rock influences. He was very influenced by the Stooges and Bowie and Mott the Hoople, and you can definitely hear that on some of the tracks. Some of my favorite tracks are Castanets and Velvet Guitar. Those are two rockers that definitely have that glam rock 70s influence. Follow You Down, and Wedding Day are just beautiful ballads with acoustic guitars and cello. If you're looking for a song to play at a wedding, definitely check out Wedding Day from this album. Wonderful album. I highly recommend Alejandro Escovedo for those who have never heard of him or have never checked out his music. And finally, the bonus continent, Canada. I wasn't exposed to much Canadian culture growing up till I ran across this artist in the 1980s who really kind of became, I believe, the worldwide ambassadors of Canadian culture. And that's Bob and Doug McKenzie. You check this out. It's 100% Canadian content, guaranteed. You've also got Geddy Lee of Rush doing a song on here. How Canadian is that? And now it's getting close to Christmas time. They got their classic rendition of the 12 Days of Christmas. So my Canadian choice is Bob and Doug McKenzie. And finally, a shout out to another channel. I'd like to give a shout out. Stay in Canada. In the Canadian theme here, it's Fitz Electric Bar. I think he's based out of Vancouver. He's got an incredibly wide knowledge of music. Every time I watch one of his videos, I learn about an album or an artist that I really want to check out. I love his Singles Going Steady segment, where he highlights the 7 inches in his collection. So if you haven't yet, check out Fitz Electric Bar. And thanks for watching, and congratulations again to Stylist Meets Vinyl for hitting 1,000 subscribers.